anymore, or if you've just convinced yourself that it's okay. What I do know is that white supremacist groups still feel emboldened enough to march openly in American streets. People are proudly proclaiming themselves racist and bigots on social media and even national television. And I know that it'll be those people that are cheering and applauding for you the loudest when you decide to dismantle diversity, equity, and inclusion in our schools. And the fact that doesn't give you pause, that it doesn't make you feel sick and slimy, tells me everything I need to know about you. When I look at you, the 6 of you that'll vote against this, I'm disgusted. But I'm also grateful. I'm grateful for all the experiences I had that kept me from being like you. You see, there's racists and bigots in my family. I heard the N-word and derogatory jokes growing up, but when I found myself on my own before I'd even graduated high school, that family wasn't there to help me. My friend Liliana's family was. They were Guatemalan immigrants. If it wasn't for them, I probably would have gotten a lot more trouble than I did. Did you know that immigrants are less likely to commit crimes than U.S. citizens?
He's right.
Statistically. And then there was my friend Trey's mom, taking care of all those kids all on her own. Still somehow always able still to find a prayer and a plate for me too. Did you know that black mothers are more than 3 times as likely to be single moms than white mothers?
He's right.
Statistically. It was the queer kids that helped me learn how to navigate life on the streets. Did you know that LGBTQ kids are more than twice as likely than their peers to be homeless?
Right again.
Statistically. But because of those kids, when my child came out to me, I was able to be the father that they needed, despite all of the religious indoctrination I've been subjected to. Did you know it's more likely your priest will be a predator than your kid will be trans?
Dang.
Statistically. Now, I know you don't care about my stories or my statistics. Your fear and ignorance has got you so turned around rather than embracing the future. You're clinging desperately to echoes of the past. But that future, it's still coming, and it doesn't look much like you, statistically. Shout out to the student speakers. You may be blind, but these kids aren't. They see you. More than that, they see that you do not see them. So tonight, after you vote against their future and go home to bask in the approval of racists and bigots, don't mistake this for a day that we stood in your way and couldn't stop you. No, today's the day you decided to stand in the way of these kids and their future. And someday, sooner than you think, they're going to run right over you and not even look back. Make good decisions.
How Black America feels about the whites-only town.
Ozark Hills in the state of Arkansas, dozens of people have been working hard. It's called Return to the Land, and it is a town open to white people only.
At first glance, it looks like a highly ornate Renaissance suit of armor with shields, crest, ram heads, and all the usual symbols of power and warfare. But then you look closer, right at the chest and the collar of the breastplate. Something is coming out of it. There's a small, infant-like or worm-like creature emerging from inside the armor. It has a head, a body, and it looks like it's pushing its way out of the metal. It does not look like a human wearing the armor. It looks like the armor is a shell almost, and something is living inside it. Think about the Goa'uld from Stargate SG-1, the parasite that enters a human host. The idea that powerful figures we think of as gods or rulers are actually something else living inside a human shell. This 16th century Medici sculpture looks uncomfortably close to that concept.
They are millennials and Gen Z, and this is a new update of age-old prejudice.
What we've done here is establish a place where we have control over who our neighbors are, and that is just for the sake of preserving, our culture.
And that culture, effectively, we're saying this is a white culture, a whites-only place.
White American culture.
Funniest part about that whites-only town in Arkansas, black folks ain't mad, and you're mad, we not mad. So there's a brand new whites-only town in Arkansas, and the gag is black people don't even care. Now, I've seen the comments. Why aren't black people upset? Why are you mad about this? We gonna clear this up right now. Nobody's upset, poo-poo. See, the one thing black people ain't gonna do is lose sleep over other people that want to create a safe space for themselves. Build your own little town, plant a flag, that's fine. Hang a welcome sign, whatever makes you feel good. Honestly, we gotta be real about something, cause I saw the interviews, I saw the clips. This ain't a town of exceptional people. I mean, think about it. If you drop everything to move to this town, you probably already didn't have much going on anyway, right? And that's not shade, that's facts. So the question is again, why should black folks care? This is the part that cracks me up the most. Y'all want us to care. I see the confusion in your eyes. I see it. Y'all like, don't the blacks care? Don't they want to be where we are? Nah. We just want to make sure when we build our communities, we're not cheated out of the things that we're supposed to have. That's all we care about, boo. And it's wild because history has shown as soon as black people do build their own thriving spaces, what happened? Some of your people roll up and burn the whole thing down. But we're supposed to believe now y'all just want to be left alone. Child, I'm going to tell you what really gave it away for me, though. The fact that they ran to the media. That's not privacy, y'all. That's desperation. Numbers must be low. If you got to beg the evening news to let them know that you exist, waitlist my ass. See, if black folks were building their town, the media would be the last people that we want to know about it. We gatekeep. We ain't trying to broadcast. But y'all couldn't wait to hold a press conference. That's not security, that's thirst. So no, we're not upset, we're not jealous, we're not even plotting to crash your party. Cause truth be told, we really don't care. And honestly, that's what really bothers y'all.
In a black neighborhood in need of help, or a black person in a white neighborhood in need of help? Would you rather be a white person in a black neighborhood in need of help, or a black person in a white neighborhood in need of help?
It's so weird watching black people get mad at white people for starting functioning white communities.
Yeah, we don't care, dog. We don't give a flying fuck. Like, there's a lot of white audacity this week. Like, you guys are sitting around making up these narratives that we care about whites only towns. Mind you, one of these towns are in the mountains. Black people not going up there. We are not going up there. As a matter of fact, thank you. Thank you for telling us where it's going to be, because that's where we will not be. Okay, we can duck and dodge that town. We won't even stop in that town for gas. And the crazy thing is, historically, black people have never cared about white people making white-only towns. Never. Now, if we're sitting there and you think that we're going to move out of our house or anything like that, then you got another thing coming. But you going off on your own, we've never pillaged white towns before. We've never done what they did to Tulsa, Oklahoma. We've never done that. Black people specifically have never done that. We've never gone into white communities and just pillaged. So it's not us that care. It's y'all. You know what I'm saying? That's why this is viral. This is viral because you want some type of feeling from black people. And we're going to say the same thing in every video. We do not care.
So these people believe they are Africans. They live in Africa. But then they don't allow any blacks in their town. Hey. Now, I didn't even know that there's a place like this in Africa until Wodemaya went to this place. The name of this place is called Orania. It's in South Africa. Now, these people are Dutch settlers who came to South Africa in the 17th century. And according to them, they bought the land from the government. The people from this place are called Afrikaners. Now, these people have their own culture. They have their own currency, they have their own flag and everything. You get it? If you want to be part of this community, first of all, you have to be a white person. Hey. That is the key factor. And second of all, you have to be fluent in their language, which is the Afrikaans. Look at my face. And third, you have to be a Calvinist Christian, and your record has to be clean. You don't have to have any criminal record.
Our name is Afrikaners. Our language is Afrikaans. Right. So we feel part of this continent, and maybe people don't agree, but I don't have another home. Obviously I know that I have European roots. Yeah. 400 years ago. Yeah. For 400 years my people have been here. Yeah. I love Africa. I don't want to live any place else. The question, why can't a black person come here, is not the right question. It's more a question like a marriage between two people. It's an exclusive affair. Doesn't mean you're against anyone else. We want to preserve our culture. We want to to preserve our traditions, our faith, our language. These are the things that we want to preserve.
But someone might ask, if you want to preserve your culture, you're preserving your culture on a land that belongs to South Africans.
The land here we bought, we paid for it.
From who?
Well, at that stage we bought it from the previous owner, which was the government, right?
But I don't think an African can leave Africa, go to Europe and say that we just bought this land and no one is allowed to come in.
My name's Nikki, N-I-K-I, I'm 32. I'm a lady.
This is Return to the Land, a group of millennials who organised online to build something radical and controversial. A town for white people only, that they insist is completely legal. We spent several days with them, watching as the men set about the physical labour of building out the site. All the while, the women of the group took on the more typically trad, homesteading type roles.
I guess I found the people through Twitter that ended up starting this project, actually spearheading it. And I went out to the first April event last year, and it was really fun.
The sort of white-only aspect of this, how important is that to you guys?
Given the premise that it's something that is kind of off limits for whites but is okay by implication for other groups, I do feel it's necessary to carve that out, and you kind of have to do it yourself.
It's kind of like if we don't do this, the laws are only getting worse as far as freedom of association goes, so it's kind of like we have to do this, or there might come a time where it's not possible to.
Are you guys aware sort of people are going to be watching, it's going to be controversial?
I think people just have a large misunderstanding of what's happening here.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What's the biggest misunderstanding?
Well,
that we hate everyone else. Yeah,
it's
not about that.
Yeah,
by any means.
It's a loving movement.
I mean, on that aspect of it being loving, I suppose the counter-argument would be it could be a very loving community if you're part of the community, but if you're black, or if you're Jewish, or if you're gay, you can't be part of that community.
They can have their own communities, and they already do, and I think that's great for them. And it's like, if other people are allowed to do it, I don't really see why whites aren't allowed to do it. It doesn't make any sense. So it's important for me to do this for my ancestors, my friends, my family, my children, my children's children.
The leader, Eric Orwell, wants the community to grow, and further what he calls traditional white American culture. And the group is explicit about this. It has an online fundraiser to give cash rewards to parents of newborns as a means to incentivise population growth. Just before we arrived, they donated $1,000 to a family for having their 6th child.
Is that part of the mission as well, to sort of have big families, to make the community bigger? Is there a sort of pressure there?
I don't feel particularly myself, I don't feel any pressure to like have a big family. I think there's a kind of expectation here that you do want to, as part of helping grow this thing, that you're going to have kids.
Slavery in America was not some abstract sin we can tidy up with footnotes and cartoons. It was a daily terror, a system built on the breaking of human beings until they were stripped of name, lineage, and hope. To be enslaved was to live every waking moment under the threat of violence so casual it was indistinguishable from the weather. A whip split your back for moving too slowly, a lash fell for daring to look a man in the eye. A child was sold away from his mother as easily as a mule, and the screams that followed were drowned out by the auctioneer's call for bids. There is no softening this. There is no clever spin that makes bondage preferable. It was a theft of life day after day for generations. Enslaved men and women were forced into fields before dawn, bending their bodies until their backs were warped, until their hands bled and toughened into knots of scar tissue. They harvested cotton in the heat of Mississippi summers, and rice and swamps and tobacco that clung to their lungs like poison. They were denied shoes and medicine, denied even their own names, whipped for praying, whipped for speaking their mother tongue, whipped for showing the smallest flicker of resistance in their eyes. The women endured an additional hell. They were prey in their own cabins, subject to the whims of these masters. Rape was not an aberration, but an institution. a weapon used to produce more property children born already enslaved. Their fate sealed at birth. Husbands stood powerless. Wives endured silently or fought and suffered worse. Daughters learned too soon that they had no protection. Every intimacy was violated. Every relationship was shadowed by the knowledge that it could be destroyed in an instant by a sales slip or an owner's desire. And yet still they carved out humanity where none was allowed. They sang spirituals in fields and carried codes for escape. They wove African rhythms into new songs that would one day give birth to the blues and gospel and jazz. They whispered stories at night to their children so that memory could outlive the overseer's lash. And they built resistance in the quiet and sometimes in fire and flight, reminding the world that no chain can fully hold the human spirit. There is no pain in this world like the scream of a mother watching her child carried off to the auction block. If you can imagine it, the sun beating down on the courthouse square, men in waistcoats laughing and tallying their bids, and in the middle of it all, a child pulled from the arms that bore them. Small hands reaching, a voice breaking, his mother collapsing as strangers drag away her baby. That child will never see her face again. He will be raised by those who see him as nothing more than labor and profit and property, and she will wake every morning for the rest of her life, still aching for the child she can no longer feed. Her soul.
You know, you read about slavery in history books, but reading the wills of slave owners, you see how they really treated their slaves like property, handing them down from one relative to another. Back in the 1800s, that property included slaves. Fulton County Chief Probate Court Judge Kenya Johnson showed me wills her office discovered from back then where slave owners wrote what should happen to their slaves when the owners died.
It is my will and declare that all my Negro slaves divided into 5 lots. I bequeath to my daughter, Margaret Rebecca, my Negro woman, Jen, of dark complexion, and all of her children, to her and to her heirs forever.
Judge Johnson had her staff go through the wills to see what slave owners did with their slaves when she realized she had documents before the Civil War. Says it's one thing to read about it in history books, another to see and touch the actual records. Staff found one will that caught them by surprise. A slave owner wanted his more than 30 slaves paid and sent back to Africa when he passed.
When they start to Liberia, in the event I die before they start to Liberia, $100 each.
So a lot of folks have heard this phrase, right? 40 acres and a mule. As you say, a lot of people thought, okay, this just never happened. And your reporting is called 40 Acres and a Lie. What's the truth behind this program? What do people not know?
What people don't know is that it wasn't just a promise that was broken. People were received land titles. We found more than 1,250 people who got land titles, men and women. They picked out their plots of land, mostly on the plantations where they were enslaved. Actually, not everyone got 40 acres, which is another misconception. It was up to 40 acres. And then people were living there. They were planting their crops. They were selling them in Savannah. Some of them formed governments, elected a sheriff. They were living their lives, and they lived there for like up to a year and a half before they were kicked off.
How did they get kicked off the land that the government gave them?
Basically, because Lincoln was assassinated. I mean, they had promised this land. They gave land titles. The government said, this is yours. You deserve it. You're going to keep it. But Congress needed to make those titles permanent. They had a majority in Congress who were willing to do it. But Andrew Johnson, he was the vice president. He was a white supremacist. He sided with the planters who wanted their land back, and he vetoed every effort to make those land titles permanent.
You did a little more research to talk about the value of the land. This is an important part of your reporting here. 1 4-acre lot that you identified in Jacksonville, Florida, based on a sale last year, that it would, today, 40 acres would be worth $2.5 million there. It's not just the land that was lost here in your reporting. Tell me about what else you found.
Yeah, well, just that generational wealth that wasn't passed on. You know, this 40 acres land was all the coast. It's like expensive coastal real estate. We found gated communities, golf courses, and restaurants, incredibly valuable lands. This is wealth that was not passed on, and that's kind of what we're trying to show is the impact. This is not a history lesson only. It's the impact on people who are alive today.
The American Negro is either going to be free or he's going to be dead. If the violence continues, aren't you, Mr. Meeks, and you, Mr. Lucas, afraid that it's going to be the second alternative?
Young white fellow, I got a son in the 101st Airborne that you're going to kill, probably, because he's going to Vietnam. I got a nephew just came back from Korea that was wounded 3 times. The first thing happened, he went home, a cop beat the hell out of him with a pistol. Now you get this straight. You can kill all the black folks you want to, baby, but you will not kill the freedom of black folks. You think you're so indestructible, you think you're so great because you got all these weapons. I remember Mao Zedong once said he wondered where he'd get his weapons from, and then we armed Chiang Kai-shek, and he said, thank you, Jesus. See? So don't misunderstand us, baby. We're dead serious. This country was founded on revolution. We fought in every one of your damn lousy wars, baby, and you give us nothing. Now the war is going to be here because we're going to be free. Now you kill all you want to, but we kill too. We're not interested in interracial housing. We don't want your neighborhood. We want ours to be just as good. See, we don't want a store in your neighborhood. We don't want you coming in our neighborhood and opening up stores and exploiting us, and then go home and throw a bomb and we move next door out in the suburbs. We don't want your schools, but we want our schools to be the highest and the best possible for our black progeny. See, what people don't understand, we are saying, and we're not asking. See, the die is cast, as I said. We're not asking. We're saying this is the way it's going to be.
Mr. President, can you tell us about this collection? These portraits represent figures of considerable importance, remarkable artistry. The craftsmanship alone suggests extraordinary resources and skill. These works represent indigenous American figures of extraordinary historical significance, preserved under federal authority. A thriving melanated civilization of considerable refinement. They are maintained here for preservation and study. The public is told that every melanated face began in the bottom of a boat from Africa. But these works depict the indigenous Asiatics of America. They didn't come from Africa. They were here, established and sovereign before the continent even split. This figure in Egypt, New York, symbolizes an ancient exchange of Moorish knowledge and gold, a relationship that predates our modern institutions. The iconography suggests guidance, instruction, stewardship.
Mr. Kennedy, thank you for bringing us here. This is incredible. She looks just like my grandmother.
It very well may be. History has a way of hiding in plain sight.
We are looking at the true empresses of America, the matriarchs of the Tamari Empire. The history taught above ground is a staged theater.
If Kennedy continues, we will lose everything. He is gaining too much power. The blacks belong to us. If they wake up to who they truly are, we will lose everything and Rome will fall. We all took the oath to defend Rome. We have to act now. Make the order.
Mr. President, who are these figures?
The human mind, when cultivated without constraint, produces extraordinary achievements: art, governance, science, architecture. Yet history often records triumph selectively to disregard black excellence, emphasizing white accomplishments while minimizing.
If Kennedy continues, we will lose everything. If they wake up to who they truly are, we will lose everything and Rome will fall. We all took the Freemasonic oath to defend Rome. We have to act now. Make the order.
Mr. President, why preserve such a collection here?
These public statements about true black history and identity provoke strong reactions, particularly from groups concerned about political stability and want me eliminated.
They're starting to question the narrative. We must do something to stop it. We cannot allow them to learn indigenous history. We must keep pushing the out of Africa theory, sir. We must push more slave movies, more out of Africa movies, so they never know.
These works depict figures from early civilizations whose contributions have been insufficiently acknowledged. Well, I must say, I'm in very good company. I don't know what I'd do without beautiful black women around. They keep the day interesting. They're stealing the spotlight from me. Well, I must say, black women are by far among the most beautiful women on the planet. A man would have to be blind not to notice.
Now, hold on, Mr. President. Don't steal them all. Save some for the rest of us.
I'll do my best.
This is American legend.
These reserves are the product of labor, extraction from black people, and taxation over generations. These reserves didn't appear on their own. They represent extracted labor, withheld wages, and taxation on indigenous people collected over generations. Every black family in America deserves a dozen of these bars. Ownership. Equity backed by assets, not promises. That's how you correct a ledger. Returning capital to the public, reinvesting directly in black communities, and acknowledging that the reserve is not separate from the black people it serves. Transparency means acknowledging that gold, silver, and commerce belong to the black indigenous people of America.
Only gold and silver can be money. It is a matter of just sanguinis, the right of blood.
The aboriginal races are the heirs apparent to this more accumulated residue of a prior civilizational order. These holdings, gold, precious stones, cultural wealth, are remnants appropriated during the Federal Reserve is a private maritime lender, an insurance underwriter operating under Admiralty law with no constitution. We have allowed international bankers to use the Moorish estate as surety, while the true heirs are miseducated.